Good night, hey everyone doing tonight. God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Irma Jill, Spirit of Divine. I'm here to give you a word on today, and the topic gonna be women's rulers as a leadership. You know, so God do approve females to be leaders. So I have four females that took charge. Took charge over big position or project they had to do. God gave them a project to do. They didn't ask no question. They just did it. So they have good women leaders out here. So we also have a woman vice president. So you could be anything you want to be. So God used these women here. So God can use any one of us to do anything that we desire to do. So I have Deborah. I also have Jada and Esther. So those two women right there. Deborah and Jada took orders from God. God came to them with a plan, and they took on and complete the project. And Esther went in there for to be a beauty queen, and the situation came to her, and she took on charge and she completed that project. So they have women that can be in charge and get the job done. So the Israelite. First I'm gonna start off with Deborah. Deborah the Israelite they called out to God because their king Sisera was oppressing them for 20 years. And see, the Israelite always get oppressed for so many years. When they was in slavery, it was like 430 years. They was crying out. So now they was crying out for 20 years and crying out to God. And God heard they cry. So Deborah is a first woman. It's a prophecy, and she also a judge over Israelite. She is a strong woman. She was brave, and she trusts God completely. There was a woman of God, and she trusts God completely. So when God came to Deborah with a plan, God came to her with a plan. Because remember, he about to save the Israelite. That's his chosen one. So he came to Deborah with a plan to command Barbara, who was working with her, one of the generals of the law army, to go into battle against Sisera to get this man. This now Sisera is the man that is the king over the Israelite who oppressed the Israelite for 20 years. So God setting a plan out for him. So the command of the enemy army. So God promised that he would deliver Sisera into Balkan hands. But Balkan said he will only go if Deborah went with him. So he didn't want to go by himself. And he have an army, he have an army with him. That's why God had told Deborah to tell him to go along with him, because he had his army and stuff. So he said he would not go unless Deborah go with him. So she decided to go with him. So God delivered Sierra because Sierra wound up being on foot. You see, God is clever. God is so smart. God said, I'm gonna send him to you. See, God is never gonna tell you how his plan is set out. God always have a plan. Now he had this plan set out before he even went to devil. So he don't know he ain't gonna never tell you how his plan gonna make out. He said, I'm gonna send him to you. So God had him to be on foot walking. So God scared his army, his the horses and everything that he was on. He scared them, and they just ran loose and just left him. So that's how he started walking on foot. That was the whole plan, to have him walking on foot and led him into this cabin. And that's where Jada gonna be at, in this cabin. So he walking on foot. He get to the cabin, and Jada, she killed him. So the job was completed by a woman. So then she called Barbara to come in now, and he got him out. And so the job was well done. from a woman. So that's one of the women's right there that took charge. Now we also gonna talk about Jada too. So she worked along with him in the mix of this chaos right here. So now we gonna talk about Jada. Now this is another woman. She have courage. So God came to her with a plan. See, God gonna always have a plan. Now he came to her with a plan. Now Jada know she ain't had no tools. I preached on all this here once before last year sometime. She didn't have no tools, but the tools that she had. Now she worked with the tools that she had. So God had told her how he want her to do it. She had to figure out herself. So she was a smart woman. So God gives her a project to proceed. God has Sierra on foot to lead him to her cabin, to be killed. So then she had Barker to come in and get her. So Jada plays a very important role in the story of the Israelite war with the Canaanites. Because Sisera was a Canaanite. So Jada had courage. You got to have courage what this woman is about to do. She had courage to take Sierra out. She took him out all right. Now there was a tough woman right here. Now he was walking. Now remember, his hearses, God had scared his hearses and stuff. So then it scattered out and just ran somewhere. So he had to walk, and they'll tell him how long he had to walk from where he was walking to the cabin. So time he get to the cabin, he exhausted, he tired, he thirsty. So he asked her for some water. So she didn't give him no water, she gave him some milk. And at first I understand why she gave him milk. So she gave him milk, and next thing he was knocked out. So the milk was supposed to put him to sleep, and it sure did put him to sleep. So when he went to sleep, Jada picked up a tent pin, and that tent pin is one of them long things with the little print on it. And she took a hammer, and she went quietly while he lay fast asleep. She drove that pit into the ground, and he died. She took that hammer and took that pin and just bam into his temple, and he automatically died. So that was another job completed by a woman. And so all she had to do was call Barker to come up in there and get the body. She did the job for God. She ain't had no tools but the tools that she had. So that's all the tools that she had, the little temple thing and the hammer, and she just bam it into him. He asked for water, she gave him milk, because she had to put him to sleep all for her to do what she had to do by her being a woman. So that was another job that was complete by a woman. So God can use women to get a job done. And these women here and never told him no. They just said, okay, okay, we gonna get. I'm gonna get the job done. She had found some tools in the house, what to do and stuff like that, and she did the job. Now this is another woman. Now God name never was used in Esther's story, but but we know God was involved. But his name was never mentioned in her story. Now Esther, she become to be queen, and then the story that she did, it made history. So Esther had a cousin named Marcina, and he had taken her as his own daughter. So when her father and mother died, he just took her in, and he treated her like that was his own daughter. So Esther met a king, not really met the king, the cousin. He knew somebody that told him that the king looking for a queen. So he already know Esther was pretty. He treated her like that was his daughter. So he had her to meet the king. So when she met the king, he was well pleased. And she won favor over him. So the king had favor on Esther, but she did not reveal her family background. So now the cousin told her not to reveal our background. So they both is Jewish. So he's not. So he told her, don't reveal our background. So because the cousin had forbid her to do so, Esther is a Jew, but Esther kept her Jewish identity secret from the king. So now Esther became to be a queen. He had favor on her because she was so pretty. So now the cousin uncovered a conspiracy. A Haman plotted to destroy all the Jews. Now Esther about to get a situation. She about to get a project now. She just become queen, and now she got this situation coming to her now. So Esther is a Jew. Now, since this situation happened, about to happen to all her people, and she one of those people, but she never could talk to her husband about it yet. She never talked to the king about it. So now the cousin represents this news to Esther, since she is the queen now. And the Jews that Haman plotted to kill all the Jews, including him. So in Esther cousin, now Esther didn't ask any question. She just took charge. So she went and talked to all her people and told them that she'll be back in 3 days. She had to pray, because she had to go to the king and tell him everything. And first she had to tell him who she really was, you know. So now she had to talk to the king because she didn't tell him about her family background, that she is a Jew. So now she got to talk to him about who she really are, because she got to let him know about this man, him about to destroy all her people, including her cousin. Excuse me. Now Esther spoke to now she spoke to the king, and she told him everything. Told him who she is, and also told him the man, that trying to kill all her people, including her cousin. So he ordered this here to kill all the Jews and plus her cousin. So now the king issued a law that the same gallon. Now remember, Hannah had ordered a gallon to hang the cousin on. He was gonna hang the cousin, but kill all the rest of her people. So the king issued a law that the same gallon to hang her cousin on, use that same gallon to hang him on. Now see how things had backfired on him. Now he created that gallon to hang the cousin on. So the king said the same gallon he designed to hang her cousin on, hang him on. So they hang him on the same gallon that he made for her cousin. So now the situation came to Esther about her people. She didn't ask questions, but took charge, and she won. So another job was complete by another woman. She also made her story also made history. So she didn't ask no questions. When her cousin came to her about her people, she just took charge. She went to her people and told them she gonna take care of it. Just give me 3 days, and she had to pray because she had to talk to the king because she never identified who she really are. So now we have these women as rulers. We had Deborah, we had Jada, and we had Esther. Both of them had projects to do, and both of them completed. You know, both of them completed. Who said a woman cannot complete a test? These three women complete that test. So they complete that project. Now Deborah and Jada, God came to them with a plan, and they proceed that plan and they completed. Now Esther, God was not in her story, but but it's a coincidence how um the other queen got kicked out, and she came along and be the queen, and then next thing you know, she had a situation to take on. That's still sometimes God still work behind the scene, even though they ain't put His name in it. But He still probably has something to do with it. So now these women got orders, a situation, and to take on. So these two women did not ask no question. See, when a situation came to them, they asked no question. They didn't say, I don't know. I might not be able to do that. They asked no question. They didn't mumble. They said, all right, and just took charge. Took charge, being a leader. And they got the job done. These three women are rulers. They are leaders. And they took charge as a leader. So as a woman, we can be anything. We set our minds. We could be anything. We could be leaders. You know, it's just like with my journey. My journey is it take a high road. I never told God, oh no, I don't want to do it. I just started doing it. Whatever He want me to do, I'm gonna do it as a leader. So where women like Deborah. Deborah was the first woman to be a judge, the first one to be a prophet. And she was over the Israelite. And she took charge. When God came to her with a plan, she didn't say no. She didn't say, oh, I don't know if I could do that. She had courage, and she took charge. She took charge as a leader, and she got the job done. And Jada, God came to her with a plan. And you got to have courage to do what she did. You know, she took a man and took him out. That's a woman for you. She had courage. She had faith to do what she had to do, and she ain't told God, well, what I supposed to do? She ain't did none of that. She found the tools that she had in her house, and she got the job done. And that was another woman got the job done. We also talked about Esther. Another leader. She went in as a beauty queen. She beautiful, and she took on a situation. And she ain't asked no question. She ain't say, well, my makeup might get messed up. She ain't said none of that. She was a beautiful woman, and she took on a situation when it came to her. When the news came to her, she took charge, and she was a leader. She took to be a leader. And that was another woman got the job done. And her story also made history. So she was a wise woman. She was a wise woman. She went to her people and said, give me the raise. She had to pray because she had to go to her. She had to go to the king because she haven't talked to him about who she really was. She didn't talk about none of her background. So she had a tax to. She had a position to take on when she just had become to be queen. So these three women complete a job was well done. They didn't ask no question. They didn't say, I don't know if I can do it. They just took on the job, and these women took leadership and got the job done. So we too, we could do whatever we decide to do. We could be a judge. We could be a president. We could do anything we set our mind to do. Now these three women was leaders, and they took on a role as leadership. You know, and they was smart. They was very intelligent. So when the situation came to them, they asked no question. They didn't mumble. They didn't say, I don't know if I can do it. Jay didn't say, well, I ain't got no tool. How I supposed to do it? They didn't mumble. They didn't ask no question. They just did it. They just did it and got the job done. When they got the news to them, or they got the plan to them, they took as a leadership and got it done. So we too, because I'm in mines right now. I didn't told God no. I didn't say what I could. I'm learning everything as I go along. You know, I ain't asked no question. I just said okay, okay, and I'm following instruction and letting God and letting God follow. I'm following God lead. So we too, all of us, we could be leaders. Anything come to us. We could be a judge, a president, a doctor, or whatever we set our minds to do. A woman can be a leader. A woman can get the job done. You know, all these positions out here, not just for men, women can do all this stuff too. Engineer, do you say you got women engineer? We got a women a vice president. We got women judges. We got women doing everything now. Because we got a lot of smart and intelligent women out here. So that we can be whatever we want to be. Now we see how God used these three women right here. So that means that these women can be whatever we decide we want to do, and God will back you up, because you see how God came to these women with plans, and these women did not ask questions. They didn't stumble, mumble, they didn't do none of that. They got the job done. Especially Jada. Jada was a rough, tough woman. To put that pig straight through his temple with a hammer. Bam, bam it with her hammer. She used the tools that she had. She didn't tell God she ain't had no tools. When I read the story, it's saying she had to use the tools that she had in the house. you know. And God said, I'm gonna bring him to you. He did just that. And see, God he's not gonna tell you how his plan is made out. If he tell you I'm gonna bring somebody to you, that's just what he gonna do. That's just what he did. He didn't even tell nobody that he was bringing to Jada. All everybody, he walked. God had scared his horses. Had him on foot. Knowing if he on foot, he ain't had no other choice but to walk to that cabin. So he walked to that cabin, and God already told to Jetta to take care of, it, and she took care of it. So I hope you enjoyed this word, and remember, you can be wherever you want. Apply for anything that you want to do. Because we see how God used these women right here, and they have plenty more women in this Bible that God used, and they got the job done. Because I've also put out a couple of I think about 3 or 4 weeks ago about, remember the woman, the view of the wall. She viewed everything, and she took in charge. She took charge. And she got that job done. That was a well job completed. You know, and so they have plenty of women in the Bible that took charge. Plenty of women that did. They have the women that followed Jesus. And especially the Martha and Mary. I put that out last month too. Jesus visited them and stuff like that. And so to have plenty of women that did wonderful things in the Bible. Plenty of women that had jobs. Plenty of women that were with Jesus. With Jesus all the way to the end. So I hope you enjoyed this word. And remember, don't be scared to apply for any job that you feel like it's for a man. So any job, just have faith. Just have faith that you can do it. You know, these women here, look at Deborah. She was a prophecy and she was a judge. That's amazing. And Jada, she had courage to put that thing through that man temple like that. And Esther, a beauty queen. What beauty queen you find gonna want to take on a project? She didn't care how pretty she was. She took on that project. And she got the job done. So I hope y'all enjoyed this word. And enjoy these women. These women was rulers. There was leadership. They took leadership without asking questions. And we also can be leadership. We also can take charge. So have a blessed night, and I'll see y'all in the next video.